The paradox we are about to explore is called the paradox of the arrow. Imagine a single arrow frozen in mid-flight, suspended in a moment that refuses to move. It is fixed, unmoving, and yet hurtling through space. If time itself is composed of countless such frozen instants, each holding the arrow perfectly still, then how can there be motion at all? This question unsettles the certainty we hold about movement and time. It rests quietly on the edge of our understanding, coaxing us to ponder whether what we see is held together by a stream flowing continuously, or a series of still frames passing beyond our grasp. The paradox of the arrow invites us into a silent dance between presence and flow, a delicate tension etched into the fabric of reality. In this endless staging of frozen moments, the arrow reveals the unsettling truth about existence itself. Every moment is a snapshot, a single breath captured in time, where all motion is suspended. Yet, life around us pulses with change. Day becomes night, a leaf drifts, rain falls softly. This contradiction between stillness and movement becomes a quiet meditation on how we perceive the world. Is time an unbroken river or a sequence of islands, each isolated by the stillness of now? This paradox invites us to listen deeply, to feel the currents beneath the surface of the stillness, and to wonder if motion is an illusion whispered through fragments too swift to see individually. Meet Elsie, a woman lost between moments. She sits by her window on a rainy evening, her gaze fixed on an invisible arrow slicing through the darkened sky. Her fingers wrap around a teacup, warm but tremulous, echoing the stillness surrounding her. Elsie's mind flutters with thoughts, caught in the space between moving forward and holding back. She senses her life is like that arrow, hitched between frozen instants and swift passage, never fully present nor entirely gone. The quiet ache she feels is the paradox compelling her to search for meaning in the spaces between what is and what might be. Elsie's loneliness deepens as she contemplates how every decision, every breath, seems fixed yet fleeting. Her days feel like frames shot too slowly to merge into motion, her moments suspended in a foggy haze between memory and anticipation. She clutches a worn journal, its pages filled with reflections she cannot quite connect. Inside her, time folds over itself, weaving a tapestry of uncertainty and longing. The paradox grips her with a silent weight. How to live when every instant feels both whole and incomplete, when movement itself is a question longer than the path it traces. Elsie attempts to shake the paralysis of doubt as her inner world becomes a corridor of frozen images. She sees herself paused at crossroads where choices freeze midair, where hopes linger like shadows refusing to leave. The arrow does not move, yet it flies, and so does she, caught between waiting and going, presence and absence. Her breath hesitates, a subtle rhythm beneath the still surface of her thoughts. The tension builds like a held note, the space between beats growing heavy with unspoken possibilities. Motion, she begins to realize, is a mystery not easily untangled through mere glimpses of frozen time. The struggle intensifies when Elsie tries to grasp the flow of her life in moments that resist connection. Each held instant is still, yet she feels herself moving forward somehow, drawn through the shadows by a force unseen. The paradox becomes a silent companion, whispering that motion is not a sum of points in space, but a dance of becoming. Her journal entries blur, a struggle between certainty and mystery, clarity and fog. She senses that time's passage is not a line but a rhythm, a pulse hidden within the stillness that shapes existence in ways words cannot capture. One night, as flame flickers softly by her bedside, Elsie dreams of the arrow as a glowing thread weaving through the dark fabric of time. She sees that movement is not about each frozen moment, but the subtle spaces between, the dark margins of the pages where ink never settles. In this revelation, the arrow is no longer trapped in stillness, but freed by the gaps that make motion possible. Her understanding shifts. Motion becomes less about points fixed in time and more about the silent intervals that carry us forward, a gentle melody played on the quiet breath of the universe. With this new vision, Elsie embraces the paradox with tenderness. She lets go of the need to capture every moment fully, learning instead to listen to the invisible dance between stillness and motion. Her journal rests closed, replaced by a calm acceptance of uncertainty. The arrow is flying not because it moves in each instant, but because it is sustained by the delicate pauses, the spaces where time unfolds softly and secretly. Elsie sees herself as part of that forever unfolding flight, a presence caught in a luminous river of becoming rather than frozen frames of being. In time, Elsie's restless mind finds peace in the quiet intervals. She lies beneath the dim glow of candlelight, breathing in the subtle rise and fall that moves through stillness like a whispered secret. She feels herself drifting gently, carried by an unseen current connecting moments as if held in a slow, eternal embrace. The paradox does not vanish, but transforms into a gentle companion, a reminder that life's motion may dwell not in the points themselves, but in the spaces between, a sacred pause where meaning quietly takes flight. Here, in this delicate breath, she finds the arrow is always flying. And so, as you lay here, caught between watching and dreaming, what do you carry in the spaces between moments? If each instant is utterly still, is the movement you feel real? Or is it memory tracing invisible lines across your mind? Perhaps motion is not the arrow itself, but the silent breath between beats, the unseen thread that weaves stillness into flow. Could you learn to hold that paradox gently, letting it unfold within you, like a whispered story shared in the quiet dark? What might you discover if you trusted the silence between the moments to carry you forward into flight?